kusum delek tatari resa pemba ani phegayon Rangzen henso ki koti wala Times Square New York Times Square gi dindang la ni mame thongko chi koti nangsha an chize thupa ne phagela ko chodu ani New York la shuni mi kama ma phagela jewera e shei and dinyam do sani shunulenzo ki thanda purgam komde ki language pe nashara di chize chuwa Jackson Heights ne in times mardila khara nyamte getso da kunzo program dikhini dresha and dila mi pe mago godra mi to girl house ko esare nguji New York la zo pheba mi mago pe ra ni khang mang ma nyam shu che ke ra ye shen la so an je yong sin shuro na
this late house so okay on the same shooting imam sama pengen do ne kenza mau yo na kenza mau de da
¡La doctora! Alright, free Palestine! Make some noise! $20 Palestine. Thank you, brothers. Bless you. We love you. Yes, sir. You're going to stand with us. We're going to give you a birthday gift. You get to catch the black guy. He's going to fly over. You're going to catch him like a baby birthday.
That's another. That one's up. Same shooting, you must have a pay shoes.
I want to know.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Make sure you have one.
黑手，哎，什么时候正也常常嘛？对，那天没得事的。现在就得弄啊，得包布。
The body of flesh cannot be lifted by the body. Because of necessity, it is my goal to burn myself forever. So let me accomplish this. All my brothers and sisters, young and old, living in misery, violence, oppression, and torture. What I want is lasting peace and freedom. What I am searching for is an existence of equality and caring. Until I accomplish this, I will burn myself again and again. Sungshuki, 2005. Thank you very much. Tibetan 중주 되게 폼나고 이 자산로 투베메 제 넘버 중에 한다 페이스북 캠페인에 자면 넘버 캠페인 디 자산 이 디밍 내가 디밍 가르서 나 양내 양투 바르드스 그래서 나도 로갈라는 신 탱마치 반내 되게요 말해 넘버 템버나 봐 나도 미리 유뉴시 세상 어서 칼에 개들 미시그리 미톨라도 그래 쟤는 가랑치 미규라야 말해 아주 돈다다 도잖아 벨게로
continue to fight until the day CCP is down, until the day Tibet is free. I remember the day when our dear friend engaged in self-immolation. I was actually technically about to schedule an interview to talk to one of the Tibetan community members, to ask them, to learn from them how the Tibetan community in exile can be that resilient, and in what way the Hong Kongers to learn from you, to learn how to build an institution, to recover from exile, to grieve, to process the sense of loss, to process our political violence, the political trauma, so we recover from being pushed out from our hometown, from being to rebuild a community from afar. Now that we could enjoy our freedom in the US, but also to fight for our friends, our colleagues back in jail, behind bar, so that one day we can reunite. And I can't imagine, when the moment we were about to engage in a call, I was notified the incident happened. And it is even harder for me to imagine, when our Tibetan friends, as each of you have been telling others, to not let the sacrifice becomes just another 3-second news cycle, but to activate the force, to activate energy, to spread the words, to make more people hear of the story, so the sacrifice will not be a wasted cause, so the spirit could sustain and be passed to more and more people. So I think as a Hong Konger, what I can do here today is to really to remind each other and to pay our tribute, to let our Tibetan friends know, until the day Tibet is free, Hong Kongers would be always walking alongside you to fight for free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Let's not give up until Tibet is free.
Thank you, Alex. Now we have Tibetan children from DC to honor our martyr. To offer tonight's closing address and to reaffirm our shared commitment to Tibetan independence, please welcome Mr. Jigme Ogila, President of Tibetan National Congress. Please welcome him.
Martin.
Before I start, I'd like to first acknowledge Michelle from Mayor Mamdani's office. The mayor is on vacation, couldn't be here, but we have representation from Mayor Mamdani's office. Congresswoman AOC couldn't be here, but sends regards. And we have a statement also from Sophie Richardson from the Chinese defenders, and we will post that on our social media. My name is Jigme, and I serve as the president of the Tibetan National Congress. Pawo Rangzen was the president of the Tibetan National Congress chapter of New York, New Jersey. And I want to start by appreciating the young organizers of the Tibetan Youth Congress, New York, New Jersey, for organizing this vigil, for getting support from 7 different organizations across New York, and making sure that Tibet's voice is heard from the loudest and the busiest pedestrian crossing in the world. For more than 70 years, Tibetans have been told to accept the unacceptable. We were told that China's occupation is permanent, that Tibetan independence is unrealistic, and that we must lower our expectation, soften our language, and adjust our political demands to what the global governments find convenient. The world asked Tibetans to be patient. We waited, and we waited. And while we waited, China used that time to kill over 1.5 million Tibetans, separated over 1 million children, some as young as 4 years old, from their language, identity, and their families, and put them in colonial boarding schools. They took time to control our monasteries, rewrite our history, erase our language, and every foundation of the Tibetan way of life. This is why Pawo Rangzen believed that the loss of independence was the root of Tibet's suffering. Without political freedom, every other right is weak and can be dismissed. Pawo Rangzen, a lifelong independence activist, sacrificed his life to end that occupation and restore Tibet's independence. Too often, the international community reduces Tibet to a human rights or religious right issues. Governments sometimes express concerns about political prisoners, even colonial boarding schools, and the destruction of Tibetan culture, but refuse to confront the political cause behind all of this, that Tibet is an occupied country, and that Tibetans have been denied the right to determine their own future. The United Nations knows that. The governments know that. Political leaders know that. The silence is not caused by the lack of information, but by the lack of courage. These governments have treated China's occupation as normal and expects Tibetans to adjust and accept it. This has been China's greatest victories, and China makes us believe that our resistance is futile and that our freedom is impossible. Pawo Rangzen rejected that lie and that fake narrative. He sacrificed outside the United Nations the most recognized address in the whole planet because he wanted the folks in that institution to not look away and no longer say that we don't know what's happening in Tibet. He made the most extreme and unimaginable non-violent sacrifice after years of peaceful appeals that have been ignored, dismissed by every door of power. This was his wake-up call to the world. This was a call to the citizens of the world. This and the 170 self-immolations prior to that was a message to the world that Tibet is still under some of the most draconian policies under the Chinese occupation. So, how long can the world choose to look away and ignore the 171 human beings who burned themselves to use their own bodies as evidence? How long can the United Nations and governments hide behind weak and useless statements? How long can politicians and activists who claim to oppose occupation, genocide, and oppression lose their moral courage when it comes to China, the world's most brutal and most powerful authoritarian regime? Standing here today at Times Square, the world's busiest, the most glamorous, the most shiniest place, I want to ask the world, why is Tibet denied the outrage and urgency extended to other occupied and oppressed people? Are Tibetan lives worth less? Is our nation less deserving of freedom? And it gives me no pleasure but to call on the world with shame. Shame to everyone in the world who choose silence. And I tell them, you are not neutral. You have chosen China's power over colonialized lives. History will record your silence for what it is, a complicity to China's occupation and genocide in Tibet. Your silence is no longer ignorance. Your silence is violence, and your hands are filled with blood along with the blood of the Chinese regime. They say that Tibetans are peace-loving people. But even Tibetans have a breaking point. We are angry, we are frustrated, and we're exhausted. But do not mistake our non-violence for weakness. Do not mistake our patience for surrender. We are peaceful people, but we are not defeated people. We will commit to Pawo Rangzen and all the martyrs to not reduce their sacrifices to photographs, vigils, a tweet, names spoken and then forgotten. We will carry forward the struggle and demand for everything that they gave their life to end China's occupation and restore Tibet's independence. We also know that the world will not hand us our freedom. The United Nations or the US government will not rescue us. And China will never willingly return the country it invaded from us. That responsibility belongs to each and every one of us. We must continue to organize with discipline, speak in unity, and build a movement powerful enough to shake the conscience of this world and shake the foundation of Beijing. So from Times Square, this is our message to Beijing, to the United States, and every leader who chooses to choose silence. Tibet has not surrendered. Tibet has not surrendered, will not surrender, and will never surrender. the Tibetan nation and the Tibetan movement will continue.
Yes!
And with that, I will pray for the Lord. I pray for the long life of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, and to commit to our promise to bring him back to the Potala Palace and reunite him with our siblings in a free and independent Tibet. Rangzen! Rangzen Gyalo! Rangzen! Rangzen Gyalo! Rangzen! Rangzen Gyalo! That is our brother, man. That is a Tibetan. That is a Tibetan.
Next, I request Tenzin Namgila, North America grassroots, coordinator of Student for Free Tibet, will present a silent die-in visual action, a tribute to the ultimate sacrifice of Pawo Loga Rangzen, then followed by long show by ex-Tibo.
Hello, I'll try to make this as quick as possible, but we're going to ask as many people who can fit inside the center stage, people who have signed up to do the die-in. If you can, if you're signed up to do the die-in, you may raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're signed up to do the die-in.
We gotta make a space
towards the middle of the stage. Maybe around 40-50 people can fit towards the center. We're attempting to do a photo action, so we're gonna try to take a very powerful photo. We're gonna try to make a photo that's gonna stand for solidarity and for unity. It's basically a die-in is when people lay down flat on the center stage. Okay.
We can let them in. Oh, no, we can let them in. Camera, all the camera people, please come down, come back. YouTuber for this,
Memang lalu.
Please be careful. So cover your mouth. The tanda kau re kau di laga ade kha damro nang kha da. The gimse the khari lana. Mazo pheba dinde nyang de ne ya. UN da chige da changma da changma mazo la kha zum de da chesang di gi chenje di che do mazo kha da me di gimse di ane ne uda ye ke sera na no bu di wo le.
This is what the UN is to Tibet's cause. They're dead silent. We need to wake them up, but we gotta wake up first. We gotta take action, be it individual, be it organization. Take initiatives and support the organization taking initiatives. Pagalo!
Rangzen yellow. Victory for Tibet. Victory for Rangzen. Victory for unity for Tibet. And long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Pocket Tony Jamna, Injitron Jamna, Pocket Jamna, Aninga, Mama, Topserum Buchi, Shilo Chico Gupjo, Shilo Chico Gupjo, Topserum Buchi, Indiana, and Birmingham, Indiana, what the Kundo Tantambo Nasha, and Chico Gupjo Cornalo, Washington DC, in New what the Topserum Buchi, Shikumbo Nasha. Ani Dijila and Jimmy Norbogo Kondroji, Ani Takani, Kare Lavia, the Taka Noji, the Juchi Matanga, Pogo Sum, Jima, Chichi, and Taka Noji, Sama Shikajan, the Nyanko Rit and Suzo Riva, and Bokishigo, Soso in the mountain, the Garamta Sama Vitua, Takirum Bochi, Muji Tartan, Soso Gomata Soso, Wooden, the Ramta Matop, the Soso, Tamta Tamboy, Bojalo! Boramtan Jalo!
The Executive Director of ICT and a former U.S. State Department Senior Advisor on Tibetan issue.
Executive Director of the International Campaign for Tibet. It's an honor to be here with all of you. Thank you. To the family members of lobga, members and supporters of the Tibetan community, and all who have gathered here tonight, we come together in grief. On July 2nd, in front of the United Nations, lobga Rangzen self-immolated and tragically passed shortly thereafter. He was a native of Kardza, a devoted monk, and above all, he was a son of Tibet. He came to the United States in 2006 and spent nearly 20 years engaged in selfless activism on behalf of his people, refusing to let the world look away from his homeland. Tonight we mourn him and we hold his family and all who love him in our hearts. While we grieve, we also cherish the call in Lobgala's final message, where he said he did not want our mourning. He wanted us to redouble our effort, strengthen our unity, and raise our voices to the international community to proclaim that Tibet can no longer be ignored. His appeal has never been more urgent. One day before he died, the Chinese Communist Party's so-called ethnic unity and progress law came into effect, giving legal cover to what Beijing has pursued for decades: the systematic dismantling of Tibetan language, religion, and identity. Lobgala understood what that means. It means every Tibetan who still speaks their language, teaches a child a prayer, holds a picture of Israel and their supporters, that we are their voice in places they cannot reach, like this one. That is why our activism cannot stop at our own movement. The Tibetan struggle is bound to the Uyghurs, the Hong Kongers, the Southern Mongolians, the Taiwanese, and to every person of conscience that refuses to accept that a government may erase a people. Broad coalitions are how movements persevere and how they win. We at the International Campaign for Tibet are more resolute than ever in our determination to build international support for Tibet and partner with all of you and Tibet supporters everywhere to ensure that Tibetan voices are heard at the highest levels around the world. But unity and effectiveness is not only a matter of numbers or coalitions, it's a matter of principles. His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, has shown us for decades what ours must be: nonviolence, compassion, and a commitment to helping others towards the betterment of our common humanity. These are not fleeting values. They are our North Star. They are also the source of our moral authority in every capital and every global institution, including the United Nations. So we ask the UN and its member states in explicit terms, condemn the ethnic unity and progress law and demand its repeal. Urge China to engage with His Holiness the Dalai Lama or his representatives in genuine dialogue. Hold Beijing accountable for its appalling repression and what it is doing to a people who simply want to practice their faith, speak their language, pass on the rich culture and traditions of Tibet to their children, and live their lives in freedom and dignity in their homeland. While Lobga is gone, his legacy of selfless activism is not, nor is our collective work for the Tibetan people. Let us take it up together with unity, with purpose, and with a resolute determination to fight for what is right. Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I'll do two more. Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Thank you, Ryan.
Our next speaker is Rushan Abbas, one of the world's foremost advocates for Uyghur people and the founder of Executive Director of the Campaign for Uyghurs. After the Chinese government disappeared her sister and her auntie in a retaliation for her advocacy, Rushan transformed her personal strategy into a global campaign for justice, exposing the atrocities being committed against the Uyghur people. She has become one of the strongest and most courageous voices comforting the Chinese Communist Party's campaign of repression. Please welcome her.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the organizers, and thank you for everyone showing up here today. I am deeply honored to stand beside the Tibetan community as we remember Pawo lobga Rangzen and the sacrifice he made to stand against the Chinese Communist Party's brutalities. He understood something many of the governments refused to acknowledge. When the world remains silent in the face of oppression, it's courageous individuals who bear the burden of defending the freedom. Lobga Rangzen's final act was a powerful plea to humanity to recognize and confront the Chinese Communist Party's systematic destruction of Tibetan people, culture, religion, and their fundamental rights. As an Uyghur woman, I recognize Beijing's strategy all too well. What it has done to the Uyghurs, it has done to the Tibetan people, systematically erasing identity, criminalizing their faith, and destroying the foundations of ancient civilizations. This is not ethnic unity. It's genocide by another word. For me, this is not a political issue. It is deeply personal. Almost 8 years ago, American, when I spoke out about this, and only 5 days later, they disappeared, my own sister and my aunt, just to silence me. Beijing wants my silence, and I will not give that to them because the silence is the oxygen of the tyranny. I know that countless Tibetan families carry the same pain. The Chinese government hopes that time will erase those stories. It will not. Why? That's why this gathering like this matters. When Uyghurs and Tibetans come together, we send a strong message that Beijing cannot control us. Our unity is stronger than its propaganda. I have had the privilege of standing beside Tibetan leaders, advocates, and the survivors, and I am inspired by your resilience. Despite decades of occupation and repression, you have never abandoned your identity, your faith, and your hope. That resilience gives strength to all of us, to Uyghur people, just as I hope our struggle reminds Tibetan people that they are not alone. The international community must understand that what's happening in Tibet and East Turkestan is not history. It's happening right now. Surveillance has become a weapon. Forced assimilation and forced labor have become the state policy. The goal is not simply politically controlling the Tibet or East Turkestan. It is the world domination. They first started these re-education centers taking Tibetan children and erasing the identity and the ethnicity in Tibet. Then they expanded, escalated, and perfected to genocide in my homeland, East Turkestan. Then they demolished the democracy in Hong Kong, now threatening Taiwan. The next is all of us, all the world. The world cannot ignore the people who are struggling to warn and...
That is our brother, man. That is a Tibetan. That is a Tibetan. His Holiness often says, and very famously so, that his religion is kindness. And we all feel that immediately. But he's not talking about temples or doctrine, but really that warm human heart of kindness. And when you look at the people who learned from him that deep essence of kindness, not the superficial sense, but that deep sense that we're all in this together and we all deserve love and compassion and kindness and joy. When you look at everyone who's learned from him and carried that lesson across the Himalayas into refugee communities, across continents, all the way here to this bizarre place in Times Square right now, you realize that those words were never meant to be just admired. They were meant to be lived deeply inside of us. Because real kindness is not passive. It's not soft. No, real kindness is standing beside those punished for speaking their language, or speaking their faith, or speaking their truth. Real kindness means refusing to accept that nearly 1 million Tibetan children should be separated from their families and sent to Communist Party boarding schools, where they're made to abandon their language, culture, and history. Real kindness is a refusal to look away from China's injustice to dismantle Tibetan's centuries-old culture and push an entire civilization towards extinction. Our other brother, Martin Luther King Jr., he said that the arc of the moral universe bends always towards justice. And I think that's true. I think we can all believe that. But that bending towards justice only happens because people bend it. It doesn't happen on its own. For more than 70 years, Tibetans have kept bending that arc in exile, in monasteries rebuilt from nothing, in classrooms, at TCVs, in communities around the world, in the halls of the United States Capitol, outside the UN, and tonight here in Times Square. But a culture can't survive on admiration alone. Those cute Tibetans, it doesn't quite work that way. No. It takes all of us working beside Tibetans to defend their rights, which is we've been doing with the international campaign for Tibet for 35 years now. Tibet can't be forgotten. We must preserve a culture, and it's the responsibility of all of us to do that. So tonight I want to ask you to do something. And Tenshala, come up here a second. Who's the president of ICT? And this is one of our programs, but I want you to actually make this appeal. We want you to record a video, okay? Because we're in Congress quite a bit, talking to congressmen and senators, and they're very open to this, believe me. We very rarely have we been in an office that we feel like we're not welcome or they don't understand the Tibetan situation. But they also want to hear from their constituents. So
we're asking you to record a short video asking your members of Congress to co-sponsor the Assuring the Future of Tibet Act and call for the repeal of China's so-called ethnic unity law. So you record a video asking your member of Congress to co-sponsor Assuring the Future of Tibet Act and call for a repeal of China's so-called ethnic unity law.
Okay, look, if you don't know who your congressperson is, contact us and we'll tell you. We'll make it really easy for all of you to do that, but it's really important. They always tell us, well, if we hear from our constituents, of course we'll act. Well, this is your moment. This is your moment to act. So if we can help you with that process, please get a hold of us and we will. When His Holiness accepted the Nobel Peace Prize in 1989, and I had the extraordinary good karma to be there with His Holiness when that happened and feel the seismic change of how people felt about Tibet through His Holiness, obviously. But this was the moment where things, I think, changed quite a bit. In Oslo, 1989, he didn't dedicate that award just to Tibetans. No, he dedicated it to every person struggling for freedom, for dignity, and for peace. Tonight we're here to honor an extraordinary Tibetan, lobga Rangzen, in that same spirit of generosity, but speaking truth to power. And not being passive, acting. Now, as controversial as it might be within Buddhist theology, a self-immolation, one cannot question the sincerity.
It's a silent march. We are going from Times Square to United Nations. So it's just a silent. Please, prayer is at your heart. But we are going to march to the United Nations where Paolo Rangzen sacrificed himself for our nation. Now hold this. I'm gonna take a picture with me. Look here, you can't smile, okay, Matri? Then I'm just Matri. Okay, let's go. Wait, can you just wave your hand? Okay, so please follow Sunam Log. We're going to march. Silent march, please protect the kids. Please, two lines. Line need to get ye, and a porch into the door. Pamela, a permanent door, Yamachin, substitute. Line need to get ye, Sunam Gape, Crown, La Follow Chirochi, and a Mammy, the old Chirochi, the piano. Sunam Follow Chirochi, please. Please, it's a silent march with a cover your mouth, and we're going to march to the United Nations. And prayers in your heart, please. Prayers in your heart. Please turn on your candle. Please turn on your candle. Cover your mouth with the cloth that we gave you. Thằng lá đi rồi đi sửa rồi nè. Şu borul da dedi kocamacı kini de
number two, candle here, Lu Kaji candle going in the situation.
Even if China were to succeed in cutting the mother tongue from Tibetan children and turning them against their identity for a time, this next generation will ultimately find their way back to their true selves. Just as Tibetans who grew up during the Cultural Revolution did. Just as those who were sent to the inland boarding schools in China did. They may have to struggle to reclaim their identity, but that struggle will only make them stronger and more resilient. They may have to relearn the language and the teachings. They may not look or sound like what we consider traditional Tibetans to look or sound like, but what matters is that they are Tibetan. They're Pibas. They're people of the snowland. They're descendants of warriors who have survived for thousands upon thousands of years in one of the most extreme environments on this earth. The roots of the Tibetan people run deep into the bedrock of the plateau. They rise again into our sacred mountains, where our deities still reside and are continuing to protect us. I think they're calling us to fight for them, for the land, for the mountains, for the Dharma, and not just because it's good for us, but because it benefits all the world around us too. And I know it may sound far-fetched from where we stand right now, but I'm certain the Tibetan people and the Tibetan nation will outlast this horror of China's occupation. We will outlast the Chinese Communist Party's rule in Tibet. The only thing we have to do is fight, to never give up, never allow them to write our story. Only we do this. For more than 7 decades and against all odds, our relatively small population, numbering approximately 7 million people, has stood against one of the most populous nations, most vicious and violent regimes this world has ever seen, and we're still standing. How? With sheer grit, total determination, deep faith, and true compassion. If we're determined to fight for our rights and freedom and for our language and for our right to be Buddhist and to worship the Dalai Lama when the time, whatever may come, they can't stop us. It's up to us. It's completely up to us. And Lobga Rangzen knew this. And when I think about how to honor his sacrifice, I find myself looking at the life he lived, his devotion to serving the nation and the cause of Tibetan independence, and to his final words, which told us to recommit ourselves to unity, to work harder to get along, to keep celebrating and practicing Tibetan culture, to continue to struggle for the liberation of our homeland. And now the greatest way we can honor his sacrifice is to answer the call. Take action every day, in whatever way you can. And also protect and care for every precious person in our movement. We need every Tibetan to keep living, to keep fighting alongside each other no matter what comes. I believe Lobga Rangzen's final act was to wake us up to our own potential. It's both a tragic and extraordinary action, and it won't be in vain if it strengthens our resolve to live, to unite, to carry forward the work which he dedicated his life until Tibet is free and independent. Once again, free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Thank you.
Thank you, Ladila. Please welcome Anhi Batu Tohuhok, a lifelong advocate for rights of Southern Mongolian people and the Executive Director of Southern Mongolian Human Rights Information Center. For decades, he has documented human rights abuses, lead international efforts to defend the language, culture, and identity of Southern Mongolian in the face of escalating assimilation. Please welcome Batu.
Yesterday, my name is Iqbal Tarjun. I'm a Mongolian from Southern Mongolia. Southern Mongolia is always known as Inner Mongolia. It's another occupied nation under the Chinese colonial regime. We gather here today with very heavy hearts to honor the life and sacrifice of our dear friend Lobga Rangzen. I had the privilege of knowing Lobga for many years. We stood together at a number of protests, demonstrations, conferences, and human rights events, raising our voices for Tibet, Southern Mongolia, East Turkestan, and all oppressed people. He is a man of unwavering courage, compassion, and conviction. Like many of you, I was deeply saddened with the urgency they deserve. Too often, justice is delayed because governments place the strategic interest above moral responsibility. But I have refused to lose hope. I believe that truth is stronger than propaganda. I believe justice is stronger than oppression. And I believe that one day, Tibetans, Southern Mongolians, Uyghurs, and that all oppressed people will be free to determine their political future according to their own democratic will. May Lobga Rangzen rest in peace. Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Southern Mongolia! Free Southern Mongolia! Free Southern Mongolia! Free Southern Mongolia! Free East Turkestan! Free East Turkestan! Free East Turkestan! Free Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Thank you.
Now, next we welcome Tenchu Gatala, President of International Campaign for Tibet, to share her thoughts and pay respect to the sacrifice of Pawo Lobga Rangzen.
A month ago, Pawo Lobga Rangzen gave the ultimate sacrifice for Tibet, his precious life.
We welcome our keynote speaker and someone who is part of the Tibetan family and the movement, Mr. Richard Gere.
all of my brothers and sisters out here. Tashidale, this is a kind of a strange place to be talking about these things, isn't it? But why not? Right in the middle of the kind of the beating heart of New York, of America, within the kind of entertainment of the world, to be talking about something really important. And not just for Tibetans, for everyone. I'm really, really honored to be here with you tonight. And what this means, I mean, it's honoring this extraordinary man. What he has accomplished here in bringing us together is something truly extraordinary. We're here to honor this man, who I don't remember ever meeting. Probably many of us here didn't meet him. Had the privilege, the honor of meeting him. Yet whose message now asks something of every one of us, to stand together. This sense of unity. That in unity we can accomplish anything. We know that. Every one of us can stand together for Tibet and be a voice, most importantly, for those inside Tibet. We are there serving them, and I don't think we can ever forget that. This extraordinary man, lobga Rangzen, who I don't think anyone's going to forget this name, and for good reason. He's inspired us all. How moved I was, and how much he kind of kicked me in the butt. He said, okay, we've been doing kind of extraordinary things. We're doing things in Washington. We're doing things around the world. We talk to our families. We talk to each other. But it's been a lot of talk. This was an extraordinary sacrifice of action that he demonstrated to us. And frankly, I felt woken up by this. Deeply saddened, to be sure. But woken up. And I think we all need to wake up right now. We can wake up.
Yep, wake up!
We can change this world. Now, what he spoke about, he believed Tibet's future depends on Tibetans and friends of Tibet and all people of conscience standing together with courage and conviction. He obviously loved Tibet so deeply, he refused to let its suffering remain invisible. He wanted the world to understand that Tibet is not simply occupied. This is a civilization at risk. What is at stake is an entire way of understanding the world and each other. The Tibetan language has its own script and a literary tradition stretching back more than 1,000 years. It contains words for states of mind, levels of consciousness, nature of mind that English cannot even begin to translate at this point.
Martin.
Tanka paintings, wood carvings, monasteries built to mirror the Buddhist understanding of the universe, the workings of the human mind, and humanity's place within that bringing together of compassion and wisdom. And this is something I go through all the time. They think I remember I talked to someone years and years ago about Tibet. And I said, we have to do something. We have to do something. We started Tibet House. And we have to do something. And they said, well, maybe you could do something at the Museum of Natural History. And I said, well, that's very nice, but this isn't a dead culture. This is a live experiment in the possibilities of the human mind and the human heart. These are not relics of the past. They're living traditions that survive only if someone is free to pass them on. And that's why China's very oddly named ethnic unity law, which in fact does just the opposite, presents such an existential risk. It threatens the very conditions that allow Tibetan language, culture, and identity to survive. When a civilization loses the freedom to teach its own children, humanity loses something it can never ever replace anymore. And I had this very clear vision that we were becoming his body. We were becoming his hands. We were becoming his feet. We were becoming his tongue, his mind, his heart. And that is our responsibility. What we've taken from him now, we have to act on in the world with his strength and his power and his skills and his capacities. I am a Tibetan. I am a follower of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I'm a follower of Shakyamuni Buddha. And I will act. I will act. I will make His Holiness proud of me by acting. Thank you very much.
Fist hand indication in that. Rangzen gallo.